Hey guys, Constance here. So, try and brighten that up a little bit. It is actually, let's see, well, it's actually right about sunset. I was going to say it's almost sunset, but I think it's the actual official sunset time. So, as you can tell, I've got the work clothes on. I have been out mowing today, trying to catch up with my jungle. Oh, it is so humid that the grasses just don't want to completely dry out, which makes mowing just a nightmare, especially like in my garden, because in my garden I have to use my walk behind mower, and I could not even wager a guess as to how many times I had to restart my lawnmower today because it was so thick. It was just choking out the mower and killing it. There's actually some deer over there that just came out at the back of the pasture. It's funny how often they will come out when we have just finished mowing, and I think it's because they can smell the fresh cut grass. It's very, very fragrant. I think that draws them like a magnet. But let's see, there was a couple things that I had wanted to talk about in my last sit-down video that I forgot to talk about, and now I can't remember what they are. That always figures. You get out the camera and then you can't remember what it is you were going to say, although I do remember one of them. The other day, well, last week or the week before, when I went and visited Ashley Mercantile, which was I think 2 weeks ago, I went in there, and you know, every time I visit there, the first thing that happens when I go in there is they recognize me, and they know who I am. They know I'm that YouTube lady, and they thank me for sharing about their mercantile and everything like that. And then, without fail, the second thing that comes out of their mouths is you guys. They talk about how wonderful my YouTube friends are. That anytime they call and want to make an order or anything like that, they just talk about how friendly all of you are and what a joy it is to talk to all of you. And you know, that brings me joy. That makes me happy that, you know, not only do I give them free advertising because I love going there, but that their experience with my YouTube friends is a positive one. You know, they said there's one lady in particular who will call and just just chat with them and chat about what's going on in the shop, and just have a friendly conversation, and they love it. They absolutely love when all of you guys reach out. So I just wanted to say thank you for that, because that really means a lot. You know, sometimes people aren't so friendly when it comes to business and shopping, and you know, they don't have the nicest demeanor. So the fact that when you guys reach out there, it's always a positive experience for them, that makes me happy. You know, I mean, sometimes, I mean, they're a mercantile. They may not have what you want. They may not have what you saw me get. They could be out of it. You know, especially like that yellow speckled enamelware. That's like a limited edition, and I don't know if they'll ever have that again. So when people call and something is out and they don't get ugly, that's kind of a big deal in this day and age, because in this day and age, people aren't always nice. And so I appreciate the fact that you guys are. Trying to see if those deer are still out there. They probably hear me talking, so they probably skedaddled. That's the one downside to this greenhouse, is the wavy walls. It's hard to see through there. I mean, of course I can see clearly through the windows, but I can't can't see through the walls as well. So there's actually two other things that I wanted to talk about, but one of them is actually going to take a little bit of prep work. I need to pull together some information before I share all of that with you. But there was a question that I got a number of times, and I thought I would just go ahead and answer that. When I have talked about here and there how my website, my blog is my business, and that that's my day job, I've gotten a lot of questions from people wanting to know how that works, how exactly people make money blogging, and in the same aspect, how people earn a living YouTubing. Now, I am very grateful for every single subscriber that I have, and I adore every one of you. I'm grateful for every one of you, but I don't have a channel that's, you know, big enough that I could call it my day job. It does definitely pay for the video equipment that I break, and I would be embarrassed to tell you how many cameras I have broken, and tripods I have broken. But when you are filming and there's animals and there's vehicles and tractors and all of that stuff, accidents happen, and they happen more often than I would care to admit. It's kind of sad, actually. So doing YouTube, yes, I do earn a little bit of money through that. I guess you could call that my side hustle, but really I just turn around and I put that right back into getting the things that I need to be able to do what I'm doing. But as far as my website, the way bloggers make money, there's kind of a few different ways, but my sandal keeps catching on the seat. The most common way that a blogger would make money is through the advertising that you see on the website. So for instance, if you go to my blog, currently cosmopolitancornbread.com. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to tell you. I'll get to that in a second. If you go to my website, and really any website out there, even here on YouTube, and you see the advertisements that pop up, whether they're on the sidebar or down in the footer or in between, you know, paragraphs on a page or anything like that, the more those ads are viewed, it gradually accrues an income. So you get something, it's called RPM, and it's rate per million, which really it's per thousand, but it's a certain percentage or a certain number of cents per thousand ads, or per thousand views. And so the more a website gets traffic, the more ad revenue is generated, and then the more that blogger or that website owner can make. And for me, that's my number one way of earning my income through them. Another way is through sponsored posts, and that is where and a lot of these things actually also translate over into YouTube, and I'm going to try and get through this as much as I can because it's kind of getting dark, so please bear with me if the lighting looks and the color looks a little off. But it works the same way with YouTube. The more ads a person sees, the more views there is. That gradually accrues and builds up to where eventually you can get a paycheck for that. With YouTube, you have to have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers to even be eligible for that, and then you've still got to apply for it. And the RPM, the pay rate that YouTube has, is minimal compared to my website. I am with an ad network. I've qualified for that because of my traffic, and so they provide better ads and better revenue for that. The other way is through sponsors. You may from time to time see someone doing a YouTube video and they'll pause in the YouTube video, or maybe they'll mention it at the beginning that that video is sponsored by fill in the blank. And in that situation, the company has either paid the person to just simply mention them, or feature their product or something along that lines. Sometimes, and it depends on the situation, sometimes a brand, sometimes a website or YouTuber might do that simply for product. I've only ever done that for product if it's worth my while. Generally, I do that for a paycheck, to be honest. Now, sometimes companies will reach out and they will want to publish something on your website. I get requests for that quite honestly, and I'm not exaggerating, almost on a daily basis. I don't do those. Everything that is on my website has been written by me. Every photograph has been taken by me, unless stated otherwise. But I will do sponsored posts where, for instance, back in, oh my gosh, this 2020 just vanished. So in 2019, I went on a trip down to southern Alabama. I visited the Georgia Pacific plant, got a tour and all of that. And I shared that. I shared that on my website, and I was paid to do that trip and paid to share about it. But it was all in my own words. It was all my telling story and telling my experience. I am totally fine with doing stuff like that, but like I said, I am not going to allow someone to publish something on my website that I didn't write. And then sometimes companies will reach out and want to give you product and have you do a review of their product. And I've done a couple of those over the years, but not very many, because it's got to be worth my while, and it needs to be something that I think my readers, my subscribers would actually be interested in. If I don't think they're going to be interested in it, and if it's not something I sincerely like, I'm not going to share it. I'm just not going to do that. You know, I don't care how valuable it is. If I think it's garbage, I'm not going to share it with you. Now, sometimes people actually get paid to do stuff like that. I don't do that. That's just not my deal, because I feel like if you're being paid to do a review, then you're coming into it biased. So, but anyways, that's kind of the rundown of how YouTubers and bloggers really generally earn a living. It's either through advertising, like viewing the ads that you just happen to see on the page, or through sponsored content. And I mean, there's often other ways that they may be able to do things, like selling tutorials, printables, books, ebooks, things like that. But advertising and sponsors are the two biggest ways about that. And real quick, because it is getting dark here, so one last thing I touched on a moment ago about the name of my website. So I've decided I am going to go ahead and change the name of it. I am going to change it to A Good Life Farm. However, I am not going to do that yet. I'm going to wait until after the fourth quarter, because as a blogger, my fourth quarter is always my most lucrative for traffic. It's all the recipes during the holidays and people cooking and baking and all that stuff. So I do not want to make any major changes, and changing the name of my website is a major change. So that will happen probably, I would guess, in January. So after the fourth quarter has ended. And in January, it'll be the winter. I will have a little bit more time, because it's going to take some work to do that. So I have made the decision, and I feel good about it, and it feels right. So at the end of the year, cosmopolitancornbread.com will become agoodlifefarm.com. But all right, so it is getting very, very dark, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Ooh, and go in the house and take a shower, because oh my heavens, I am filthy. Oh, and this is one of my newest shirts in my shop, in case you're interested. A little tongue-in-cheek there. So thanks for hanging out with me here for a little bit in the greenhouse. If you have any questions about what I talked about today, you know, about like blogging, I used to actually teach workshops on that. So if you have any questions about getting started, I'm more than happy to share with you about that if it's something that people are interested in. Like I said, I've been doing it a long time, so I've got a few things I could share if people want it. But Anyways, I don't even know if you can see me anymore. So thanks for hanging out with me here in the greenhouse. My name is Constance at A Good Life Farm, and I'll talk to y'all next time.